What you've just seen are images from a 15-year journey. So many people giving their support. Now we need yours. I'm Jeremy Gilley, I'm a filmmaker and the founder of Peace One Day. As a filmmaker, it really excited and inspired me that the form, the camera, could really drive a process through. The second film I made documented the first ever lives being saved on the day. And that took us into Afghanistan. Jude Law travelled with me. It was a great success. Everybody became involved in Afghanistan, including the Taliban, who agreed not to harm health workers on the day. As a consequence of that, and because of everybody's hard work, particularly the United Nations, 10,000 health workers were able to vaccinate millions of children against polio. It demonstrated that the day was far from symbolism and that it could work in a place where many thought it was impossible. At that time, the UN in Afghanistan announced a 70% reduction of violent incidents on Peace Day. It blew me away.
The cynic used to say that the day existed, but what difference does a day make? And what I saw in Afghanistan the 2 times we went was, well, the difference is life or death.
But this is not only a day of ceasefire, it's also a day of non-violence. Because just as important is the violence that's happening in our homes, our schools, our places of work, and our local communities. Everyone, therefore, has a role to play. We had to get the word out. So we decided to build a series of coalitions made up of organisations committed to activating their networks on Peace Day. Thousands of organisations were activated by these coalitions across the world for Peace Day 2013. It was the greatest participation that we've ever seen. With the support of McKinsey & Company, we believe that around 500 million people are now aware of Peace Day, with around 8 million behaving more peacefully as a result of being involved in activities on the day. Now, with the support from the Howard G. Buffett Foundation, Peace One Day is running a major campaign in the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Great Lakes region of Africa.
I'm sitting at a Coca-Cola board meeting and I'm watching this clip and I see this guy in this and I'm thinking, well, peace, you know, everything we're doing in all these countries is about peace. Jeremy, you have a track record. You don't give up, you don't quit. Peace One Day is the answer.
We're engaging with all sectors of society with a focus around young people, women and music. We hope to see a measurable reduction of violence on Peace Day by 2016 at the latest. Our concert in Goma, DRC on Peace Day 2014 will help us take the message of Peace Day and this call to action in the region to a global audience.
Well, I think this is an initiative that will be very impactful to nations abroad, our neighbors, and more than anything, our youth. You know, and I think Congo is a great place to actually start this initiative. And I'm very excited to be headlining this concert and also being in a position to where I can, you know, be of impact as far as bringing more peace to the world.
Peace One Day's theme is who will you make peace with? By working together, we will improve the quality of our lives and, of course, the lives of others. So, who will you make peace with? Around 500 million people are already aware of the day. Will you help us tell the rest of the world? Here's to Peace Day. Thank you.
I first came across Prem Rawat because I was asked to speak at an event at the European Parliament.
And Jeremy Gilley from Peace One Day.
I
Thank you for your wise words. Thank you to the European Parliament for inviting me here today.
And I saw him tell one of his stories, and it was, it was beautiful and it was profound, and it was inspiring. And so I clearly knew in that moment that I was listening to a man who had, an awful lot of wisdom on the issues of peace, and had clearly been thinking about it all his life.
It is incumbent upon us to use our resources, intelligence, and the goodness of our hearts to bring forth peace on this planet Earth, regardless of how impossible it may seem.
And then I found out, obviously, that he'd been speaking about it all his life, and that he'd been traveling the world and speaking to hundreds of thousands of people every year on the topic, and devoted his entire life to inspiring and empowering people all over the world to think about peace and to act for peace in their own individual way. And he's an incredible human being, a very wise and courageous, powerful man.
It is not the world that needs it, it is us as individuals who need the peace.
Given my own journey in relation to creating a day of peace and then trying to prove that it could work and now make it, institutionalize it, and there were lots of synergies for us to be able to potentially do some work together.
As a filmmaker, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to make a film about peace because I wanted to answer some of those fundamental questions. And then I realized there was no day of peace. Together, we can create peace one day. Please go to your friends, your colleagues, your families, and let us unite on the 21st of September, 2012, and send a message to the new generation that we can change and things can be different. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Well, I jumped at the opportunity of being able to have a one-to-one with him because, I knew that this was an individual who has obviously been on a much longer journey than I've been on. It's really wonderful that Prem, given that he is so, obviously, peace is his life, talking about it and inspiring and empowering people all over the world, for him to, inform the global community at whatever level he can that there is a day of ceasefire and non-violence, and it's an opportunity for them to unite with others around the world. Nice to meet you, nice to meet you. And I had no idea that it would be as entertaining as it was. Here we go. I spent 13 years on the road, talking about peace and trying to create a day of peace, which we did, and the idea that, if our world could unite separate from politics and religion and stand together as one, then in that unity would perhaps come a little shift in our consciousness around the fundamental relationships that we have around peace and sustainability. The idea that we come together as one. What do you think of that idea? What do you think of the idea of us standing together in the name of peace on a global scale?
I think it is incredibly admirable if anyone makes those attempts to bring that consciousness in people. Think about peace, understand peace. That is so important because it just doesn't happen every day, But how important is peace to a human being? Because I really feel that peace is very fundamental. Peace is fundamentally inside of every human being, and we need to look at ourselves as the source of peace. Long time ago, that's what Socrates said, know thyself. He could have said anything. He could have really, truly said anything. Go climb that mountain, remove that rock, dry up that ocean. But he said, know thyself. And people talk about this, but they really sometimes don't understand what does that mean? To look at yourself as the source of that peace, as the source of that clarity, as the source of that joy. And so anybody who takes those steps, who helps people recognize the need for peace in their lives and the importance of peace in our society, that's an incredibly admirable thing to do, and it's so important in our society.
we're going around the world and we're talking about peace and we're trying to promote peace and we're trying to promote a day of peace. But certainly the beginning of my journey was because I was so angry about what was going on in the world. I didn't understand why I was humiliated at school. I didn't understand why, the world was behaving that it was. And as a consequence of me being angry about everything around me, I wanted to go on a journey to create a day of peace where I knew I would fail because I didn't think it would succeed. And then I could point my finger at how unwilling humanity is to come together, even for a day. But of course, the opposite happened, and of course it succeeded, and I'm less angry and I'm more hopeful now than I've ever been. What happens when I get angry? I mean, I got angry the other night at something that I didn't like. Most of the time I'm at peace. I mean, what does that say about me if I lose my cool? I mean, do you ever lose your cool?
All of that says about you is you're a human being. Ideally for a tree, it has taken a lot of effort, it has made a lot of effort to be clear and straight. But then when the wind blows, it has also learned to rock back and forth. Because if it doesn't, the branches will break. And so to me, there are all these attributes that we have. I mean, yes, you get sad, you get happy, you get angry. That's not the issue. The anger isn't the issue. It's where are you coming from in your life? Are you actually anchored in peace? Is peace fundamentally there for you or not? Because if it isn't, then when the storm of anger comes, you'll get uprooted because you have no foundation. But the foundation is what's important. Getting angry and then understanding something from it is not a problem. Getting sad and then understanding something from it is not a problem, because I think too many people think the idea of peace is to become a vegetable. You sit on some mountain and you are completely impervious to everything that happens around you. Well, excuse me, that's not going to happen. You are a human being.
It's a fight, isn't it, a little bit? I mean, like peace, I feel like, sometimes I feel like I have to fight for peace. And I wonder what you think of that. Sometimes, like running peace one day, you've got to get a good result. And sometimes other people's, maybe external, don't want that result. For whatever reason it might be, it was a process of trying to work out and fight. I mean, is that all right? I mean, is peace a fight sometimes?
Well,
to create it?
Of course it can be. But let's just look at the basics of it. In my opinion, and I've thought about this a lot, almost 40 years of trying to talk to people, and what I understand is one simple thing, that if you're trying to create manifestations of peace without peace, it's going to be problematic. If peace is at the core, then the manifestations of peace will be automatic. They will happen. But if the peace is missing in a very fundamental place, and you're just trying to create the manifestations, it's going to be very, very difficult. And that's why I try to take my message of peace, that peace is inside of you. I mean, I call it my message. It's really not my message. Many people have said this. Peace is inside of you. Search yourself, seek within you, and find that peace. Because unless that happens, trying to just create different things that reflect peace is going to be hard. Peace has to be in a fundamental level. And then you don't have to worry about the manifestations. The manifestations will be there.
I speak to people, most days, and young people particularly. The education materials we have now are in the 6 official languages, used in 197 countries. It's the most important thing to me, inspiring and empowering young people
to be the driving force behind the vision of a united and sustainable world, and giving them the tools to do such a thing. I mean, giving them tools to become peacemakers. Do you think that one of the problems that humanity has at this present time is that sense that people don't believe that they can change the world?
Yeah, because the responsibility of changing the world does not lie with them. It lies with some other entity, whether it is the governments, whether it is the angels that'll drop from heaven.
They think that.
They think that. They
Yeah.
think that. Yeah. So they don't include themselves in the equation that yes, they can make a difference, but it is true that they can make a difference. And just knowing that can have a huge impact. That yes, you are a very critical part of that machinery that will make peace happen on this earth. That you're not separate from it. You're not just a recipient of a news that, oh yeah, today there's peace in this world, thank you very much. No, you are part of making it happen. And it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. And we put so much emphasis on our youth, which is so important because they are our future. But I want to also see empowerment of the people who are not children. Maybe they are great-great-grandfathers. Maybe they've only got 3 more days to be on this earth. But for them to realize as well that they are a part of that process of making peace happen.
Yeah.
I want to include everyone. I want to include youth. I want to include those people who will teach the youth. Very important.
Yeah.
Because if they are out of touch with themselves, what are they going to be teaching the youth?
Yeah.
I want to include the youth. I want to include people who are going to be teaching the youth. I want to include business people. I want to include governments. I want to include the poor people. I want to include the rich people. I want to include people who think they should not be included. I want to include everybody. I want to even include those people who we have said, oh, you have done something wrong, let's lock you behind 4 walls, because they're going to be coming out of those 4 walls too, and then what?
Yeah.
I want to include everybody. This is good news, and I want to say it again and again and again, like you need to, I need to, everybody needs to remember again and again and again and again, peace is possible.
Peace is possible, man. Yes, it is.
And maybe one day, it'll stick.
And it does stick, and that's the point that you're making. I mean, that's why we're inspired and empowered and gunning it every day and working hard, isn't it? And indeed, many, many others all over the world. It is possible. It does work. Forgiveness happens. People can stop. Even when you say they can't, they can.
Yes, of course.
We have to believe, and and it is absolutely possible. I really want to see it happen in our lifetimes. Of course, who knows? It's a process, it's a journey, and so we're completely in agreement. And I'm sure the people who are watching are in agreement too, that actually the greatest challenge that we all have is for us all to just embrace the idea that we can change this world as individuals, and if we stand together as one and do that, then bingo.
All of us.
Whether you're a great-granddad or a young person in primary school, we've all got to become a part of this. We've all got to accept that actually peace is possible, that we can change this world, we can lift the level of consciousness around the fundamental issues we face, quickly. It's like, if each and every one of us realizes that we are the peacemakers of this world, that the problem isn't over there, the problem is right here, and if we resolve it within ourselves and around us, each and every one of us, then we'll change the world forever. I've been pretty much every conflict zone of the world, and I'm in 107 countries in the last few years, and like you, but frankly, wherever I've gone, whether it was Afghanistan or Sudan or Somalia, I never saw anyone fighting. I just saw beautiful people, like really passionate and courageous and hopeful. Pretty much everywhere you go is peace. Of course I understand that there are people suffering unnecessarily and unfairly, and it's tragic, and I wish it wasn't going on. But actually, the greatest war that humanity faces is with a fist. It's not with a gun. And the greatest violence that's going to happen today is in a domestic situation.
Yeah, you were saying, you've been to so many conflict zones. And when you were saying that, I was thinking, you know where the biggest conflict zone is? Right here. This is where the conflicts start. This is the big conflict. And every single human being on the face of this earth potentially carries the conflict zone on top, and also carries a place of peace within the heart of every single human being. Choose. Choose. And people like you who are going out and giving people an option, choose the peace.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. I mean, it's very exciting. It's incredible to meet you, like really incredible. And like I'd heard you speak before, and I've known about you, but what just blows me away, and I find it like, when I think about it like a Jedi Knight, those guys in Star Wars, who have their lightsabers. I just think it's mind-blowing that you're so in touch with what peace is all about, and that you fly the world in the most incredible planes, complex instruments, all for, spreading the word of peace. I mean, you've got to be the greatest peace warrior on this planet. It really has been a massive honor to meet you, and I'm really grateful for what you've shared with me, and I'm sure the people who watch this program will feel the same.
It's been a pleasure, Jeremy, meeting you, talking to you. And I truly hope that I'm not the only warrior, that every human being on the face of this earth is the warrior for peace.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care,
Jeremy.
Prem.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
After being with him,
Amazing.
I just felt like totally energized. I felt like, I'd been in the company of, a great peacemaker. I'd been in the company of a man who had devoted his entire life to empowering people. A man of peace, It's a privilege to meet people like that. Obviously, it's an honor. It's an incredible thing, and I feel very lucky. It's just gonna blow people away. It's gonna, that's like a Jedi. Do you know what I mean? He's a true Jedi, isn't he? It was a really interesting, kind of exciting, fun, inspired, moment in my life. It was cool.
Well, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was real.
Take care. Yeah, take care.
Yeah, thank you so much. Real massive honor.